Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at numbers to 100. Now, one of the first things I would recommend when looking at numbers to 100 with your child is getting yourself 100 square. Now, I googled 100 square. You look at Google Image, this was the first image that came up. Very simple, you can print it off and make good use of it. That being said, there's lots of great websites such as Sparklebox that will give you a nice looking one. You can see there, this is a Wild West themed 100 square. Don't worry if cowboys aren't your thing, there's also princesses and pirates and animals and stars and all sorts of different things that would help grab your child's attention. So, with 100 square then, what we're going to look at to begin with is just simply counting up and down within the 100 square so the child can investigate the pattern that sits within our number system. So what I'd be asking the child to do is put their finger on a number, so say 34, and just start counting on. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Now this, crossing over the 10 or bridging the 10, so going from 40 to the new 41, 42, children can often find this difficult, so it's worth noting when you cross a 10, so when you go from 40, 41, 40, 39, a child can often find that difficult. So practice crossing over, bridging these 10 numbers here. Now, I would do that quite a lot. Practice counting up, practice counting down, start from different points in the number line. So start on 83, let's count backwards. 82, 81, 80. Let them use the number line in their finger, count with them, as this helps and internalize the pattern. As you're doing it, ask them, what do you notice about the numbers? What pattern can you see? What you're looking to identify, or the child to identify, is that the numbers in our units column always remain the same. It's the same pattern. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, new 10 number. Now, although the tens column increases, so from no tens to 110, 210, 310, so 15, 25, 35, 45, the pattern in our units remains the same. So it's very predictable. The child can use this to help them with the counting. So we know that after a whole 10 number, the new whole 10 number, we always just go back to 1 in the units column. 2, 3, 4, 5. New whole 10 number, 1 in the units column. 2, 3, 4, 5. Becoming familiar with that and help them bridge the 10 or cross over the new 10 number. Now, once they've got this counting up and down and they're more confident with that, you can maybe challenge them and cover the 100 square. Or do counting when you're out and about with them, when you're walking up and down stairs, when you're walking across, when you're walking to the park. Different counting activities like that to really reinforce it. After counting ones, I would look at counting in tens, and I would start with just the tens column. So counting up in tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, etc. Counting up and down. Once you're confident with this, I would move on to starting at different numbers. So if we start at 24, ask the child to count on in 10, and they'll probably go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ask them what they notice. They should be able to tell you that they are now directly below their starting number. And you can see because the units number, 4, is still the same, 34, but what's increased is the tens number. We've went from 2 tens to 3 tens. So we've added 1 10 to our number. We're talking about addition here. We're adding 10 on. I would get them to experiment that with quite a lot. So start at 46, count on 10, add 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, it holds true. So the child is becoming confident that every time we add 10, they don't need to count on 10 anymore. They don't need to count on as a strategy. They can add as a strategy. They're adding 10. The 4 for 4 tens is increasing to 5 for 5 tens, to 46 to 56. Now, as the child becomes more confident in this, you can ask them more questions. So 53 add 10 is 63. 84 add 10 is 94. You could even ask them to take away. 57, take away a 10. 47. Anytime they start to get stuck, give them the physical resource again. Give them the 100 square that they can use on and they can touch. You could then start to ask them to add on multiples of 10. So put your finger on 15 and add on 30. 1, 2, 3. What do you notice? Well, the 15 has become a 45. I've added 3 tens. I've added 30. All these work with 100 square really helps consolidate number knowledge and number sense for the child. After investigating tens then, whole 10 numbers, I would start looking at different patterns by adding on sets of numbers. So for example, here we are adding on in twos. Now I had the child colour in this 100 square, adding on in 2's, and asked them to investigate the pattern they saw. Now, as well as seeing that adding on 2's is uniform throughout, they noticed that the units follows a similar pattern. So the units always goes 2, 4, 6, 8, new 10 number. So regardless of where we are in the number line, whether we're in the 50s or the 80s, the units always follows the same patterns. 2, 4, 6, 8, new 10 number. Being aware of that pattern helps the child in their counting, helps the child in their addition, because although we're counting on in 2's, we're talking about here adding 2. So ask the child to count up in 2's, to count back in 2's, to start at different places, remembering to particularly practice crossing over the tens numbers. After looking at patterns for 2, you can repeat this for different numbers as your child becomes more able and more confident. So here's a pattern for 3's, and you can see I've separated this one to show each time the pattern repeats. So here's our pattern for adding 3, but actually once we get to 30, our pattern goes back to the same starting point, 3 in the units column. When I get to 60, my pattern goes back to the start again, 3 in the units column. So here we go. Lots of different jobs we can do with our 100 square to help develop number sense.